Hello everyone, and welcome again to your members stream. Very, very excited to have you all here today because game week 1 is in the books. We've done it. We've actually got past the pre-season, and I'm not going to lie, it's felt like a long time. But I'm just going to move this chat up a little bit so everybody can actually see it a little bit more, because I think that would be helpful. So there we go. Message retracted. Helen, where's your message gone? Just going to move it a little bit more because I feel like we could get a little bit more chat in there. There we go. Right. So game week 1 is in the books, which we're very, very excited about. And we have our scores, and also very exciting, I have our table to show the FPL Academy and how everybody got on as well, and give everybody a little bit of a shout out if they had a really good week. Brian's in the chat. Hello. Helen was. I'm not sure where it went, but it was there. Webby says, hi all. Nice to have you in here as well, Webby. Cage Paps. How's it going, mate? Caroline Owen, hey. Helen Betsworth, try again without the typo. Yes, do that. Helen, evening all, just heard Solanke maybe out for a month. I saw earlier there was some training pics and he wasn't in it. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. From Adam above average. Yeah, that would not be good. So we'll see what happens there. James, all right. Evening, James. Nice to see you here. Caroline Owen saying, really? Yeah, I will have a look and see if I can find out what's going on there. I might even text him midstream and see what happens. Yeah, should I do that now? Should I send one to Adam? Here you go. Adam. What's this about Solanke? There we go. And I'll let you know what he says when he gets back to me. Right, so let's have a quick look, because I'll do the shout outs first thing every time, at how we got on this week. Now I'm using FPL Game Week to do this, which is fantastic, by the way. If you haven't got that already, it's so good for leagues. And Caroline Owen, 93 points. She did use her bench boost, but 93 points. I think you're going to say that is a pretty successful bench boost there. And if we scroll down to the bottom, you can see her team. Her actual bench boost wasn't that strong, but I think she said that because she bench boosted, her team was way better than it was going to be in terms of how it came out. So Caroline, you absolutely smashed it this week with 93 points, so fair play. Liam, 90 points. All these Mo Salah captainers absolutely tore it up, didn't they? So Liam, very, very good as well, 90 points. And Rob with 84 points. But Liam and Caroline both over 90 points. Like, fair play to both of you. I am languishing in 14th with 68, but with Haaland captain to go, hopefully all these Mo Salah captainers are going to be hating that Ipswich game, but we'll see how we get on. Vicky says, cheers, Andy. Cage Paps, tips for avoiding reacting too early. Right, shall we get straight onto the questions? Let's bring up my team, actually, and just show you very quickly how I got on. So this is the team I went with in the end. Henderson, Gavardio with 7, Trent with 8, Hall with 5. You'd be happy with a clean sweep of defenders usually. Smith Rowe, Saka with 12, Gibbs White, Jota with 8, Solanke with 2, find out about him. Haaland captain with 14, Isak with 5. Fairly happy with my team. And when I'm looking at how my team's setting up for this week, I am really happy with my team this week. What I'll do is I'll leave that up here so people can have a look at it while I'm answering some questions. So let me just have a quick look. Adam is not text back yet. Here we go. Helen says, trying to determine how true the rumour is. We will find out. We will find out, and I'll try and let you know. Tips for avoiding reacting too early. FOMO on players you don't own, or moving on players that don't deliver. I mean, the biggest tip is just don't touch your phone. That's genuinely the biggest tip, is just don't touch your phone. Don't do anything. And also avoid Twitter, because Twitter on a Monday, something can be a disaster, and on a Wednesday, all of a sudden it's fine. So I just wouldn't go on Twitter. Twitter is the king of hyperbole, and like even in Nkunku tonight, there's so many ways that you can see it. Like Nkunku's playing, oh, that means he's playing too many minutes. We're not going to be able to get him. We're not going to be able to keep him. And other people are saying, well, this is good for his minutes because obviously he gets a few minutes. So I would just avoid Twitter. And maybe, I mean, this is one of the great things about the community that we've got, is that it's a bit more calm, and it's just to kind of hear the information but just react to it calmly, whereas Twitter's just all about reaction, isn't it? So that's my biggest thing, I would say. And also remember as well, you set things up for a couple of weeks. Let's just hope use it as a, did I set my team up properly in the first place? And if it's just something random that happened like Barco, don't beat yourself up about it. James, oh geez, really no big Dom for Everton nightmare. I hope we have him. I'd be absolutely gutted if we don't. Brian says, what? Yeah, we'll see what happens. Brian, great job, Caroline. Yeah, absolutely fantastic job. Really, really good. 93 points, fantastic. Wow, great week. Woohoo, bench boosters, Caroline. Yeah, fair play to you. That is absolutely brilliant. You'd be more than happy with that. Helen, there's also a tweet saying he had a minor knock and should be fine for Saturday. Fingers crossed, because like I say, he's in my team and I'm expecting big things this week. With Everton without Tarkowski, without a right back, without Branthwaite, you'd be expecting big things from Spurs. Good news as well, Porro, seen in training, should be absolutely fine for the weekend, so that's good news for owners. Jared, evening Jared, I think this is your first one with us, so thank you. I've been setting my lineups for So Rare, so I'll be talking about that at some point. Vicky says, who is the best Man City mid this week? Now, I would say it would be Foden, personally. But is Foden 100% going to start? I mean, obviously, he did come on in the second half of the City game. So I'm expecting him to do quite well. If we have a look at FPL team, in terms of expected points, De Bruyne is top, then Foden, Doku, Bernardo Silva, Kovacic. I don't think Rodri's going to be back yet. So you think Kovacic would play again. But out of those three, I think Foden's still the way I go. I think Foden would be the one I would go to. It's just who you miss, who you dump to get Foden in. Could be a little bit too early, but to be honest, I think he's probably going to play. You think Bernardo would play? I would have thought Bob would have played this game because it's an easier opposition and they tend to use Bernardo against tougher opposition to unlock their defences. But obviously there's not a lot of other people there. Doku's also a really good shout for 6.5. He just dribbles past people for fun. He does have an 18-point game in him. It's just when it happens. Personally, I think I'd get Foden in knowing that I want Foden long term and I'd want him after this week anyway. But it's obviously Haaland's. It's tough because you're trying to cover Haaland, and I think Foden's the only one that can do that. So Foden would definitely be my shout. Let's look at some of the other ones. James, Nkunku starting in Europe and 0-0 at half-time. Does this bode well for the weekend for him? I think he still plays at the weekend. I'm just looking. I said it pre-season. I just don't like this Chelsea team. I just don't. There's too many players. Too many players want minutes. Not enough going around. Maresca's had to come out and said there's like 15 people playing in separate training because they just can't house them. And it's just an absolute mess. So I think if I had Nkunku, I would keep him for this week. But after that, I think I'd be struggling personally. I mean, their fixtures are there, but I just think I'd rather get a nailed-on player. I mean, this is Lego Mane's hop on, hop off. We use this every week. If you look at Chelsea, they've got Wolves away, which is obviously not bad. Palace at home, Bournemouth away, West Ham away, Brighton at home, Forest at home. Lovely fixtures, but apart from Palmer, and even I'm struggling to think whether Palmer's going to play all of these, I just don't know a player that's going to play all those games. And I really don't. And that's the issue with Chelsea. I would much rather have another player like a Morgan Gibbs-White who I know is going to play every game. So that's where I kind of am with Nkunku. I think I'd keep him for this week and roll, but then next week obviously you could maybe bump him up to someone else or bump him down. But yeah, I think I'd keep him from this week, but I wouldn't be wanting him longer term, I don't think. But I was saying that before. I could be wrong, could all go right now, but that's kind of where I am. Jared, do you think Porro plays on the weekend? I do. Saw training pictures today that looked absolutely fine. It looks like he's going to play. And you want him as well, obviously. He got the goal, highest scoring defender last week with 9 points. And to be honest, he could do something very similar this week. Everton look shot defensively, so I think you're going to be expecting something from him, potentially, even if it's just an assist this time. More than happy with that. So, yeah, 100%. I think Porro's going to be fine. So if you have him, play him. Caroline, Foden, prediction on starting. I think he starts. I think he plays. I don't see any reason why he doesn't. Obviously came on, got more minutes than was probably expected last week, but I think he starts this week. I just trying to think now. They're not the early kickoff because United did the early kickoff, aren't they? But if we have a look at the fixtures, so they play 3 o'clock on the Saturday. We could hear a bit of a leak before the deadline, before 11 o'clock. Fingers crossed. Usually we hear something, and obviously we haven't had City be on early enough yet. So, yeah, keep an eye out for leaks. I'm in Italy this weekend. I fly out tomorrow, and it's a Saturday deadline. But I fly out on best man at a wedding, so I'm going to be very, very intoxicated most of the weekend. So I'll let you know how we get on. But I will be available, so do still, get hold of me. Webby, I think I regret going Quansah to Lewis. Should have gone with a boring, safe pick. I think Robinson was the pick. I think it's boring because a lot of people are doing it, but I think Robinson was the pick. When you look at Fulham's next three fixtures, Leicester, Ipswich, West Ham, I think that's probably the way I would have gone. Rico Lewis could be fine, but it's just a 1 week thing. I think 1 week could be fine as long as you've got the other players that are going to come in and be fine if Rico Lewis doesn't play. I don't think for me Rico Lewis has got the upside to justify a 1 week punt. Personally, I think Robinson was the play. So if anybody else is still pondering, but obviously Quantz's gone down now, so I'm assuming most people won't be doing it. But yeah, Rico Lewis could be fine, and he could get you a 12-pointer this week. You never know. Scored a goal that obviously got chalked off at the weekend, but yeah, I think Lewis is a 1 week punt if the rest of your team is fine. And Kunku just scored penalty, yeah, with no Palmer. He is on penalty, so there you go. Jared, I was on for a great one on So Rare, then 3 of my players didn't play. Talk about wounding. That's awful, mate. Sorry about that. Anybody, by the way, that gets into So Rare, me and Jared been doing it for a while, so yeah, let us know. James, Eze or Mbumo? Ooh, let's have a look. Crystal Palace. Just looking at the fixtures here. Palace have West Ham at home, Chelsea away, Leicester at home. Could easily score in all of those. And Mbumo, who was one of my personal favourites in the pre-season. Brentford have Liverpool away, Southampton at home, Man City away, Spurs away. I think you'd go Eze, wouldn't you? Just because of the fixtures. And Boomer looked good, both on penalties. Palace, I think Eze is going to be double teamed a lot, but Mateta did play. He went off at half time for Edouard, didn't he? But I think I'd go Eze over the two of them there. Those 3 fixtures out of the next 4 for Brentford are pretty horrendous, apart from Southampton at home, whereas Palace at least have 2 nice home games against West Ham and Leicester. So you'd expect both of those to be leaky. So yeah, I'd probably go Eze personally. Jared, Enzo will probably play them all, or Lavia most likely. Yeah, I don't think Chelsea would be playing Enzo, Lavia, and the other player they played. They played 3 midfielders, didn't they? I don't think they'll be doing that. And Kunko will be back in the 10, I would have thought. Leif Davis would be the exciting pick. Yeah, lots of people have talked about Leif Davis. I don't think Leicester are going to be overly good defensively. We'll see how they get on. But they did better against Spurs than people thought. So, and Leif Davis did look good. Webby, I already have Robinson, was thrown by potential Porro issues. Yeah, and I can see why you did it there as well. Apart from that, I suppose you go boring, you go for someone like Consta, don't you, or Dunk or something like that. Cage Paps, you mean you transferred out Porro this week? Oh, they're talking. No, sorry. I got a feeling Bowen could be one of the highest scoring mids this week. Jared, you love Bowen. You love Bowen. He didn't look great when I watched him live. It was all Kudus. Kudus looked amazing. But again, I still wouldn't be going for West Ham players quite yet, personally. So that's the only thing to bear in mind, is I don't think I'd be going there quite yet. Right, let's have a quick look at the academy questions that people have chucked in. Will says, hey mate, if you had Robinson ready on the bench but had a Quantza shaped problem, would you sell? And watching the price prediction tools, yeah, so I'm assuming you did that before obviously Quantza went down. I said on Scoutcast on Tuesday that I would probably sell. I like the idea of keeping that transfer, but also because Quantza is probably going to be an issue, I think I would just do that sell, because Robinson's look good. Fulham have nice fixtures. Fulham are definitely improving because of their transfer window as well. So yeah, I said earlier I think I would. That could be wrong. Quantza could just play this weekend, but I just don't feel like he's an issue I would want to have personally. Cage Paps, I've been stung by Bowen in the past, but he does have his purple patches. He does indeed. Sorry, Leif Davis plays for Ipswich, not at Leicester. I don't know why I said Leicester. It's because I had Leicester up on the thing, wasn't it? Brian H, with Nkunku starting today versus Servette, should you bench him for Winks or just transfer him out for Eze or Bumo? I have 0.5 in the bank. Again, I just keep him personally. Eze and Bumo I've just said I wouldn't want anyway. If Nkunku is going to play them, most of these minutes in the next couple of, I don't think he's going to start every game, but if he plays most of the minutes, the fixtures are there, whereas in Mbumo they're not. Eze's the only one that would be a little bit tempting. I 100% would not play Winks ahead of Nkunku. Even in 30 minutes, Nkunku could do more than Winks. So I think, yeah, I don't think I would. I would just keep Nkunku. Caroline, I did bench boost game week 1 and wildcard 2. Ooh. Would missing Arsenal Saka defender, given their fixtures, be a mistake? I plan to use transfers to bring them in near a game week 5 when I can decide between Haaland and Salah. So let's just have a look at the fixtures for Arsenal. So they got Villa away, Brighton at home, Spurs and Man City away, and then from game week 6, their fixtures are lovely. Leicester at home, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away. I think you could go without a defender. I think you could. I think Villa, I expect to score. Spurs probably score. City probably score. So then it's just Brighton at home, who have looked good. So I think you could go without a defender, but I can see Saka scoring or getting some kind of return in most of those games. Not that he will, but he will get those opportunities, and he's on penalties as well. So I think it'd be tough potentially to go without Saka, but I doubt you can fit Haaland, Salah, and Saka in, can you? So Saka's the one I think I'd have over the defender, personally. I think you can go without a defender, and to be honest, the way most people are going, you're probably going to go quite cheap on defence, aren't you? So maybe you can fit in Saka as well. Cage Pap says, and Nkunku subbed at 57 minutes. Good sign. That is a very good sign. That's lovely, actually. Right, let's have a look. Without them, I can have Salah, Haaland, Eze, and Palmer. I should have read the rest of the question. Without them, I can have Salah, Haaland, Eze, Palmer. I don't want Nkunku, Jota, Gvardiol, Pedro. Oh, I don't hate that at all. I would still try and sneak Saka in. But this is the problem with wildcarding in Game Week 2, is that players like Jota, you probably won't want after, in Game Week 3, Game Week 4, because he'll get injured or whatever. So that's probably the one there. With Saka, I'd have to knock out Palmer, and a defence would take out Gvardiol or Pedro. Yeah. If you go for it, if we look back at the fixtures, it's not the worst run to not have any Arsenal assets. And if you want him back in Game Week 6, I'm assuming you'll be losing Palmer in Game Week 6, although his fixtures look quite nice there. You could probably ditch Salah in Game Week 6 and then get on Saka again. I would want Saka later on. That's the issue. So, yeah, it's not the worst run to get rid of him, especially if you're going for a Palmer, but you need Palmer to do well because Saka's going to be very well owned still. Helen, on late shift at work this week, so probably won't make the live stream. No worries, Helen. You did, though. A couple of questions. Thoughts on Triple Captain Haaland this week? Personally, I'm not going to do it. I can see why people are going to do it, but I'm not going to do it. I think if you look at most of the projections and how he could do, I think Ipswich were better against Liverpool than people thought. And I'm just looking at it and thinking, this is probably going to be one of those 2-0 wins for City. If they win 2 or 3-0, Haaland, gets 1 goal, 2 goals? The thing is, when you're not doing it in a double game week, you don't get those extra bonus points and extra appearance points, and they make all the difference. That could be an extra 5 points onto your triple captaincy, which is an extra 15. If you fancy it, go for it. I would never ever discourage people from doing it unless it was silly, and I don't think it's silly. I just won't be doing it myself. And if Minter is out, which is looking like he should be okay, he should be okay. Should I play Rodgers versus Arsenal or Harwood-Bellis versus Forest? So it looks like he's going to be okay. The only thing I would say about Minter is, with this new signing they've got, he isn't guaranteed to play, but he's looked very good. I would just play Minter this week. He could do well against United. The side he's going to be playing, our left side is probably the weakest because we've got Dalot and Rashford. He could do very, very well. So I would just play Minter. But if you had to play Rodgers or Harwood-Bellis, you play Rodgers, 100%. Rodgers looked really good at the weekend. Brian H., what are your go-to tables in Scout when you pull stuff for Scoutcast? XG, XA, XGI. Look at those all the time. Last 6 weeks, this season, whatever it is, per 90 as well. Love those. Look for non-penalty as well. Love doing all of those. XG prevented for goalkeepers, really, really good, especially for bonus, things like that. So make sure you look at that one. And then the fixture ticker. Just playing with the fixture ticker is lovely. Changing, doing it based on difficulty, looking to see which teams are at the top, doing it based on a certain amount of weeks. Those are my go-to ones that I go on all the time. We've also partnered with StatsBomb now, and StatsBomb have some amazing stuff on there. Hibbo is starting to put it on our Scoutcast all the time, and it's really, really good. So have a look at all of those. Dimitro, is it worth selling Barco if he reaches the price drop, or the transfer would be more valuable than 0.1 lost? I have good bench and don't rely on him. If you've got a good bench and you've got no reason to have to play Barco, because obviously he's gone to Sevilla on loan, just keep him. Personally, I think by the looks of things, he's not looking like he's going to drop anytime soon, and the loan could be done, and then he could be red flagged, and he could be locked, although there's some real ambiguity about that. So I would just keep him, even if he goes down to 3.9. For me, he was third on my bench. He's going to stay third on my bench. He'll be 3.9. I don't have to worry about that until I wildcard because I'm not moving him out. So I would just keep him there, personally. People are getting very worried about him. I would just keep him. You weren't going to play him anyway, I don't think. Vicky Maddox says, I have Man City FOMO. Which option? Bruno to Foden and Kunku to Doku or Hall to Gvardiol? I'm assuming that's because you have no City. It would be either Bruno to Foden, which seems very, very early for Bruno, but you could do that, or it'd be Hall to Gvardiol. I don't like the Nkunku to Doku move personally. So Hall to Gvardiol is good because you would want that long term anyway. And Bruno to Foden, I mean, United fixtures, they're okay. Where are United? There they are. Brighton away, Liverpool at home, Southampton away, Crystal Palace away. He could do okay, but we've seen this from United all the time, haven't we? I'd much rather have a fit firing Foden than a Bruno. So, yeah, Hall to Gvardiol is fine. You must have a lot in the bank. But yeah, Bruno to Foden makes a lot of sense as well. If you went without City, you're probably looking at this week and thinking just hide behind a sofa and hope that it's not too bad. It might not be. And if it isn't, then you're going to be loving life. Jared, if the bonus points have shifted towards forwards, would it be better to have 5 4.5 playing defenders? Yeah, I'm kind of thinking this. I think I said it before where I would have the premiums. I have like a Trent and a Gvardiol because they can kill it any week against any opposition. Arsenal defence, when they're on a good run, can be fine as well. But apart from that, I don't think I'd be going anywhere. That's why I didn't pick Porro, although he scored. But strikers just seem like if they score, they hoover up the bonus now, which hasn't always been the case. So, yeah, I think that's probably the way it's going to go. And when people wildcard, I think they will be sucking their funds out of defence and putting it into attack, personally. Webby says, only other question is triple captain Haaland. Yes, I did mention that earlier. I'm not on it, but I can see why people are doing it. Dimitro again, and I have another question. Which attacker to bench among Gordon, Pedro and Nkunku? So, Gordon has got Bournemouth away. Pedro has got Man United at home. And who was the other one he said? And Nkunku. Yeah, so obviously Nkunku's got... where have they gone? Wolves away. I would probably bench Pedro out of all of those, personally. Gordon away is obviously not as good, but that narrative can't carry on. So, yeah, I'd probably bench Pedro out of all of those. It could do something against United, but he could also only play like 30, 40. So, yeah, it's probably the way I go. Who else have we got? Paul Evans, I currently have White and Gabriel. I'm thinking about benching one to bring on Robinson. Which one, though? I'm thinking Gabriel. Yeah, but out of the two of them, it'd be Gabriel. It's tough, though. I think if I had double Arsenal defence, I don't think I'd be wanting to do that. I'm assuming you have someone like a Trent or a Gvardiol as your third defender. Yeah, if you're going to bench one of them, I'd probably do Gabriel, although he does have the good XG. So, yeah, tough one out of the two of them. Make sure you message me. If you see this, message me and we'll have a look at the rest of your defence, because Robinson could obviously be good, but White and Gabriel are also very good. They've got Villa away, obviously, haven't they? Yeah, probably Gabriel. Probably. Matt Kent, if Nkunku gets significant minutes tonight, he got 57, then A, would you sell him? No. And B, who else at 6.5 or less aside from Smith Rowe? I would just keep Nkunku. I genuinely would just keep Nkunku. Like, I don't see any reason to get rid of him yet. And he probably, if Palmer goes off or whatever it is, he's on pens, it's nice. John Hotheim, would you consider selling Saka for Foden? Trying to adopt a hop-on, hop-off approach with the prices this year. Saka was excellent, but has tough fixtures. Foden has Ipswich and unlocks 0.5 that could address Barco next week. Personally, I wouldn't, because Foden obviously got more minutes than we expected last week. There's every chance that he goes off after 60 this week. And Saka, he's going to play the whole game, even against Villa, who... Villa looked okay. They obviously had the penalty. West Ham scored the penalty against them. But I would probably stick with Saka, personally. Keep Saka, and then next week, Saka has got Brighton at home, which is nice. That's absolutely fine. Foden's got West Ham away, and then maybe move to Foden later on. But I think I'd probably keep Saka, personally. That could be wrong, but I think that's probably what I would do. Right, that's all the questions on school. Let's just have a look in the chat and see if anybody else has put any other questions in. Jared, Bruno going to make it up to FPL managers after his game week 1. He even said it himself. He did. He came out and tweeted that, didn't he? Saying that he would make it up to us. So fingers crossed he does. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? We'll see. I have my reservations about Bruno. He's an 8.5 asset. He's not a premium asset. He's 8.5 and he's 8.5 for a reason. So yeah, I don't think he's that bad of an asset to own. I just think at the moment, I don't think I would be owning him. Like I said, I don't think the fixtures are great. He was in a lot of projections and a lot of kind of algorithm teams, I would say. So he was picked quite heavily. But yeah, personally, he wasn't anywhere near my team. I don't think I had him in once. Right. Thanks so much for everybody for joining us this evening. Like I said, I will be away this weekend, but I will be reachable at times. And anything I get, I will try and get back to you. Adam says, I'm trying to find out I know as much as you. So I'll just put a little heart thing back. There we go, look. Okay. So there you go. So Adam did get back to us, but basically to say I don't know. So we'll try and find out. If I do find out, I'll chuck it in our WhatsApp straight away. Right. Thanks so much, everybody. I will see you again next week. I hope your game week 2 is good. And Caroline, if you get another 93 again, fair play. You're going to be storming the league. Right. Thank you so much, all. And see you. Bye.